Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jai
Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Govinda Hari Hari Bol.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining here today. As many of you know, we're here to celebrate my grandfather, Papa's 85th birthday. So I just wanted to share a few words about him, his experiences, and his life. Less for him and more actually for a lesson for us, our family here today, as well as the others that have joined us so graciously here. So let me start by stating a very simple fact in life. Every single person in the world is actually chasing just one thing. Despite what you might think, that people have very varied goals, in reality, we all have the same goal in life, and that is finding happiness. No matter how complex your goal may seem, no matter how bold it may actually be, your goal in life is truly just chasing joy. Now, of course, people have different paths that they choose to achieve what they think will bring them happiness. So we all follow very different methodologies to get there. But in the end, we're actually just chasing that one thing. Now, once you've chosen your path in life, there's actually only one thing left that matters, and that is resolve to achieve that goal. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Papa's life in the context of these two things. Why? Because number one, he has actually chosen the only goal that matters in life. And I'll talk about that a bit. And number two, he's one of very few people in this world that actually has a resolve to achieve it. So for those of you that don't know too much about his life, let me actually rewind time a bit and tell you about his experiences. So again, for those of you that are not so familiar, Papa actually came from a very small village in India. Indeed, most of the people in this village were illiterate. They didn't have any education. And so for someone like him being born into that position, it seemed like there was no opportunity to break out of that mold. Now, Papa had this dream and this vision to chase happiness in life. And he saw that he needed to go and gain an education, gain a career, and make something of himself to find happiness. And so because of the resolve that he has in his heart, he actually drove to go and find that. And his resolve made him actually get on a train to an unknown land with just a few cents to his name in order to find that. And he went and got an education, and he actually got a job in that foreign country. And actually, once he got that, he achieved that coming from nowhere. He sat back and he thought, this actually isn't enough. It's actually not that satisfactory. I achieved something that I set out to do, but deep down inside, he knew there was something more, a bigger calling for him. So then his resolve drove him to the next step. And he rose up in that company from being a technician to a manager of hundreds. In fact, he was the youngest manager of hundreds that company had ever seen. And yet again, after he achieved it, he looked back on that experience and he said, this actually isn't it. This might have brought some fleeting happiness. We achieved something in life. But when he took that step back, he saw this isn't the thing that really deep down we're all searching for. So now his goal changed, but this time not slightly, but a little bit more fundamentally. And his goal became just about his family. It became a selfless goal. So he decided that his goal in life had to become setting up his family for success. And so knowing actually nothing about the United States, he picked up his whole family, uprooted them, and brought them to America. And indeed, when my father, his son, had a goal to start a company in this country, he threw everything he had aside and said he was going to put his full faith and support behind his son. That was the selfless love that he had for his family and the resolve that he had to go achieve that new goal he had set out for himself. Now, again, that company had achieved so much. That company grew globally, and he became its president, and he was a huge part in building it. But again, after that huge vision had been achieved, remember, coming from a small, illiterate village in India to growing this gigantic business, he still found that that was not what he was searching for in life. And he took that step back and said, there must be something else. So reflecting on those experiences, his intellect guided him to realize something very different about life. And this understanding that he achieved became so important to who he is today. So what he realized in that moment is that if you become attached and you chase anything that is material in the world, you will only face suffering. And the reason for that is everything that is material is fleeting. It's temporary. So if you chase something and you latch onto something that's temporary, as soon as it goes away, what's going to happen? You're going to inevitably find misery. And you'll find it doesn't bring you that satisfaction that we're all looking for in life. And so this time, his intellect drove him to the goal that he now has in life. Because he said, if I can't chase that which is fleeting, I must chase that which is permanent. And a lot of philosophy, a lot of debates, a lot of searching ended up finding him the path he's on today. And that path is what the Christians call Christ, the Hindus call Krishna, the goal of life being finding the only thing that is permanent that we can latch onto and find actual, true, lasting bliss, not rooted in the material, not rooted in the fleeting, but in the spiritual, in the permanent. And so imagine this, this man who had achieved so much in life, indeed, this man whose life could actually be a New York Times bestseller, going from an illiterate small village to becoming the president and almost co-founder of a global company. And yet, if you talk to him today, not only does he not want to discuss those things, but it actually kind of bothers him. He has no interest in discussing any of those experiences. Just imagine that. Most people in this world, when they achieve something, it's all they can do is talk about it, is share it with the world. And their ego drives them to say, I did this, I built this. And yet when Papa found out that the real goal in life is not in those things, not in achieving some particular material goal in life, it took him actually one single solitary day to give it all up. He left the company and he became a sannyas in one day, renounced all of it. And he didn't just renounce what he had, he even renounced his own name that he had built, the person that he had become, that so many of us, our whole family admires and loves. And so many others who were touched by the company also admire and love. And so that actually is the grandness of what Papa achieved in life. It's not the things that he actually gained. It's not the success that most people will look onto his life and say, wow, this man went from nothing to something. It's actually that last moment where his intellect drove him to realize there's something more, and the resolve that he had to say, if that is the goal, then now today, in one day, I must give it up and focus on that goal and not focus on all the other things we saw. So that story of his and that experience of his is actually why we're all here. We're not here to celebrate his birthday. We're not here to talk about his past experiences. We're actually here to share in what he found after 85 years of his life to be the most important thing that we can search for. And so I think it's such a blessing, as we were discussing earlier, for us to all be here today to be able to celebrate that with him and share in what he has found to be actually the only truth in life, the only thing that actually can bring any eternal happiness. And now as we all go back in the world and we start chasing material things, hopefully you can take a step back and think, this man who actually achieved every goal he set out to achieve in life, if he said it's actually all useless, it actually is not going to give you anything. And if he could say there's something else that's actually worth chasing, maybe we should learn a little bit from that wisdom and that experience. And of course, the last thing I want to do is I want to personally thank you, Papa, because it is actually only for your experience and your wisdom and your teachings, and of course, my father's teachings, to whom I owe my entire life. So thank you for that.
आप सबका धन्यवाद। Today, nobody has time for someone else. Everybody is thinking about themselves. All of you here, you have given up your time, your desire for something greater. And I want to thank you for that. The gift that some of you have in your heart and mind is a very rare thing. It takes many lifetimes to reach where you are today. For some of you, you may be wondering, everyone else is enjoying life. I am here doing bhakti. What am I getting? Am I missing something? It's not bringing me any wealth. Everyone else is having a lot of wealth, lot of fame, and I am doing bhakti. In whatever form you may do, it's irrelevant whether you call that which you are seeking Krishna, Shiva, Jesus, Allah, whatever name you give it. It's irrelevant. But you may wonder at times and get stuck by thinking, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is something that other people know, because they seem to have all the fun. But as Nikku explained, when you will go down that path, you find that there is no permanence to that fun. And so, what is permanent? What is it that, as Nikku said, Papa is looking for? That permanent. Now you may say that's Krishna, but that's a name. That's a form. Is that sufficient? If you don't know that that's sufficient, then it's not sufficient. If you actually have achieved and know that that's sufficient, then that's sufficient. But not everybody knows that that's sufficient, although you get told that that's sufficient. People say, just chant Hare Krishna, and that is it. But you don't know in reality that that is it. So what is it that's permanent? So you look at yourself and you say, am I permanent or am I not permanent? And you will get confused because you'll say, I'm this body, then when I die, I go away. Then you will think, am I really the body? Because if I cut my arm, which is part of my body, I'm still there. So after a lot of reflection, you will find out that who you are and who you thought you are is not who you are. You are not this body. Then you say, I'm the mind. But then when you go to sleep, there is no mind, is there? For that short duration in the sleep. When you're dreaming, the mind is there. But then there's a period when you don't remember anything. Where did you go? So you're still there. You are that permanent that you are seeking. So how can you say that happiness comes from anywhere else when what you're seeking is you yourself? You simply have to realize that Krishna is nothing more than you yourself. Krishna has taken all forms. This is what is called Leela. It is Krishna only from whom everything originates. It is Krishna only that has divided itself into the infinite. So for those of you who are thinking that maybe it is out there, think a little more carefully and think within yourself. What is that makes me who I am? How am I here? What is Krishna? This is the final step after bhakti, is this realization. Then and only then you can attain bliss. Because that step is very important in giving up all desire. Suffering is only coming because of desire. Everybody here, including me, is a beggar. We are all beggars. Why didn't I hear everybody asking for something? Every one of you is asking something all the time. Some of you that may call yourself pious are asking God to give you something. Those who are not pious are asking for the car or money or a job. Everybody is a beggar. Everybody is begging all the time. There is only one giver. So only solution to this Maya escape is to stop the begging by realization of the higher truth. When you realize that, then there is no mind. The only reason the mind is working is it is scheming all the time, asking for something. Now think, observe your own minds, observe within yourself. Constantly it is asking something. It is only begging for something or the other. ये मिल जाए, वो मिल जाए, ये हो जाए, वैसा हो जाए, ये करूं तो वो मिले. That's constantly what is going on in your mind. Even bhakti is that. But it is a better thing to ask for. Yes, it's a higher ask. But now what? Now you have to realize, that's what Prabhupada said, I am the servant. I am always the servant. You are always the servant. And this is not satisfactory to many people. But only the realization that ultimate happiness, that which Nikku is saying you can attain, is by dropping any expectation, any desire. Then and only then you can get the bliss. Somebody was asking here just few moments ago. Without that dropping, there cannot be a permanent bliss. Temporary, at times satisfaction is attainable. So for those of you who may think, I'm stuck, what do I do? Just think about that. That the last step is to drop any desire. Just like any animal that you see, I see birds coming and going. Does that bird really have a desire? Honestly, when I see the bird, it has no desire. It's eating when it needs to eat. It is not overeating. It is not hoarding something and putting in its home. That is how one should live. That's what Niku was trying to explain about Papa, who's living moment by moment with no expectation. When the mind wanders, then yes, thinking Lord's name focuses you back. But remember, that's not the ultimate, because then you still have a mind. And the moment you stop chanting, then all kinds of other thoughts come in. That happened with all of you, I know. And if you say no, then you're not telling the truth. So how to get there? Not so easy. But if you understand what I'm saying, it's not far away. Because only He has the will and the power to lead you out of this. Only He is the doer, although He says He's not the doer. I will not go. Yes, you realize. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's good. So I thank you. I've been told not to speak too much because the children might get bored. So I thank you all once again for taking time to not only come here to celebrate Papa's birthday, but most importantly, for understanding yourself and for the realization that you're seeking. You will attain it, because I can only leave you with one final assurance. Everything I sought in life, I achieved. I got. Down to the very smallest of things. Let me explain to you one last thing, because my wife is getting upset. I'm still talking, but it's important for some of you, I know. Because I know some people come and ask me, I'm stuck, I'm wondering, is it really true? I remember one time I sat with a friend of mine in his car. I saw the car, I fell in love with that car. Beautiful. The color, everything, the comfort. There's no way I can afford that car. So I forgot about it. Do you know, 20 years later, that car just came to me. I did not go looking for the car or wanting to buy the car. It just happened to, I will not explain the details. And then I looked at everything in my life and I said, everything that I desired, I have got. It is just that I have forgotten that I desired it. That's the only thing. Everything that you are getting today is what you have desired. Every single thing you have desired, you have achieved, except you forgot that you asked for it when you had that desire, because it may come 20, 30, 40, 50 years later or another lifetime. And so you don't remember. So God is all giving. So this desire, don't give that up. That's what I want to leave with. Hold on to this desire, because that also He will give you. But if you give it up, then He also says that then you can be on your own, because that's what your desire is. It's not me, God. Your desire is to have your own will. I will give you so. Although nothing in this world can happen without me, but I know that's your desire, and therefore that also I can make happen. This is my power. This is his power. He says. So don't give up this desire. And then in one day, like Papa, it will happen to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I'm representing this temple, this congregation of 350, 400 devotees. So what I'm sharing with you is coming from 400 devotees. I'm just put in this position to say something. First of all, Nikhil has raised the bar. He's like, he was reminding me about President Obama. President Obama speaking Bhagavad Gita 101 to all of us. So thank you so much, Nikhil. Such a beautiful way to present your grateful heart to your Papa through glorifying him, through the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. It's very, very satisfying. Thank you so much. It means a lot. I'm not so good with philosophy, so I'll share one or two things personal. Respected, worshipables, revered Satish Ji. In the beginning, when he came first time to this temple, I tend to call him uncle in my heart. But slowly, I saw this beautiful heart, more like a fatherly to me that time. So I started seeing him, my father in him. My father was also like tall and big body build, Punjabi body. So, so our relationship grew little at a time. If I want to put in one word, I would say it's like my soulmate. Only you call soulmate husband-wife thing, but with him it was like a fatherly soulmate. We only spoke about Krishna. That was the beautiful thing. We had maybe 12, 15 interactions, but we did not speak about anything else other than Krishna. So that was very satisfying to my heart. I hope it was satisfying to his heart. He can vouch. And in many of these interactions, I remember in the beginning, one point he made, it was like his wish list. He said, can you help me set up with his temple? Hare Krishna. And I was a bit embarrassed. Him being CFO, founder, Acharya of a company, he's asking me, I'm nobody. So I thought he wants something very fancy, very exquisite, something really nice. So I started planning, something he wants. So I suggested him a few ideas. But then when I had another conversation with him, I felt like such a childlike heart, innocent heart, that's Braj heart, that he shared with me that he really wants Krishna in his Gopal form in a very simple way. He doesn't want anything fancy. And it's not, he clarified, it's not because of money or other things, but that's his heart. He's not looking into palaces and mansions. So that touched my heart. We went to Papa's house, and then we had small Gopalji we took from here, and he was very happy. We did some kirtan. So from that day, I felt that there is some spiritual connection with us, with Krishna, with Radha Shyam Sundar, with our devotees. Then we invited him a few times with kirtan. He came. I'm just fast forwarding so we can just, time is limited. But this last interaction I was so amazed, as Nikhil very eloquently puts. He mentioned something, his wish list. I wanted to hear what's his wish list, because he's getting senior, elderly. Amongst all of us, he's senior most. So in my heart, I was thinking, is there something in his heart that he would like to share with us, that he wants us to do, or something he has a desire? So I don't know if he has shared with any of you here, but we were sitting with this advanced pure Vaishnava Chaitanya Charan at Prabhuji's house. Niti Mataji, you were there. And he mentioned one beautiful thing. He said, I figured it out all, number one. And then he pointed, I wanted to hear what he actually figured it out. Krishna is God. Krishna is the supreme person. Spiritual life is the best. But he said, I figured it out that Hare Krishna mantra coming through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching has everything. It has all the Vedic, all the Puranic, all the Gitas. And that touched my heart so much, because just like son is worried, Nikhil as a grandson, Dr. Parag, we are concerned about our seniors, what, their health-wise, material health, their staying, their food, the other things. But also as sons and daughters, we're also concerned about the spiritual journey, where that next step is. Some of us say, okay, Papa, you can go to Vrindavan, you can go to Banaras, and we will build a nice house for you. You can be surrounded with sadhus and saints and kirtans. Different desires of children are there for their parents. So I was a bit concerned because of last 7 years of association with Papa, that where his last understanding. So when he shared with me, and then he said something really beautiful. You'll be amazed to hear that. He said, now I have only one desire. And he said, I wish in my next life, I hope you remember, he said, in my next life, I would like to born in a temple. And he qualified it. He said, because I didn't ask anything, I was just watching his next sentence. He said, because I want to remember Krishna 24/7, worship him 24/7, and temple facility will allow me to do that. I would like to born in that kind of a family where I have, my heart was moved, not just moved, it was melted, to be very honest. Because we as pretending to be Krishna devotees, sometimes we don't shoot for that kind of a goal. That's an amazing, spiritually enlivened, very high goal for us sometimes. So we're really, really fortunate that Papa is here. He's in his sannyas kurta. He told me he was saving it for some big function. He bought it a few years ago. And I'll end with this one sentence. Our Srila Prabhupada used to say this, that to know the karma factor, how karma factor works, people, those who know that very well, they're very fortunate. And then there are more fortunate people who actually know who is God. Who am I? The two things, right? Who am I? I'm soul. And who is God? Paramatma, Krishna. So those are more fortunate. And there is a third category. Who can tell? It's a quiz. There's a third category of most fortunate. There is fortunate, there's more fortunate, and there's a most fortunate. The most fortunate are those who actually develop love for Krishna. If you can develop love for Krishna by hook and crook, as Dr. Parag was mentioning, there are some gaps, there are some question marks. But how you can develop love for Krishna, then you become most fortunate. And I personally feel, to be very honest, in this wonderful assembly, that are revered, senior, worshipable, Satish Ji has actually developed love for Krishna. So he is the most fortunate. I hope he can hear. I know he has some hearing. You were able to hear what I said? Okay. They will explain. Oh, we just got it. Yeah. Hari. We are so fortunate that we're all together. We're so happy and grateful and indebted to Nitiji, Dr. Farag, and all the family of Nixon here that you have decided to come here. You could have gone to Hawaii together in a chartered plane somewhere, but here you are with our simple-hearted Krishna devotees. So we invite all of you to please come, cut the cake, and Nitish, you would like to say something? Thank you.
We're going to ring the garland first. Garland.
आपका बर्थडे है
यहाँ
Spice है Krishna to you, Krishna to you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna to you. May you always chant Hare Krishna. May you always chant Hare Krishna. May you always chant Hare Krishna and go back to Godhead. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Prabhuji. Happy birthday to you.
His Grace Satish Prabhu Ji ki
So only last week, your Dr. Prag sir has anniversary also. So in front of her. Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, that's going on. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare. Come.
हटो आज आपका बर्थडे है ना आज इसका
Yes.
birthday है।
Yeah. Next week? Wow.
हाँ 22 को
Wow.
बहुत सारे हैं।
Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Abhi. Happy birthday to you.
Wow.
Now next we have prasadam in other. Yeah, we have prasadam serving on the community halls. So Aarti is just starting. We can do Aarti.